At the beginning of the movie, a criminal named Radek secretly meets a German reporter named Greta to discuss classified CIA files. Radek shows her photos and documents, and Greta is thrilled at the chance to expose a CIA cover-up. But while she's taking pictures with her phone, Radek suddenly pulls out a gun. Greta asks why he's betraying her, but he shoots her. Protests break out across the city as false reports spread that the CIA is killing journalists. This becomes the third murder of its kind in Greece in a month. Meanwhile, an analyst named Kate is investigating why these people were killed. Late at night, she's reviewing a videotape in her office when she notices someone on the screen, Radek. Shocked, she rushes to her boss Tim, who is equally stunned since Radek has been dead for over 18 months. Tim checks if Kate has told anyone else before revealing that Radek had once been a covert CIA agent connected with both the Greek and Russian mafias. At that time there was also a famous CIA agent named Steve. He's now retired and working as a bricklayer in Sparta. Steve spends his days on construction sites repairing old walls. During a lunch break he unexpectedly runs into Kate and Tim. He's not happy to see them. They inform him about the blackmail against the CIA and the murders being pinned on Radek. Steve refuses to believe Radek is responsible. He knows Radek is dangerous but not the kind who would randomly kill reporters. He also insists he saw Radek die. Tim then explains that Radek carried out a hit on a Russian smuggler that the CIA had approved, and Radek's photo was found at Greta's crime scene. Convinced, Tim urges Steve and Kate to go to Greece to stop him. Steve and Kate both argue that Kate shouldn't be on this mission, but Tim is adamant. They are the only ones who know about Radek and Steve has to accept the task. Otherwise Radek will come after him next. Steve refuses, telling Tim to clean up his own mess, and goes back to work on the roof, reflecting on how close he once was to Radek's family. Suddenly he's shot at. Steve quickly hides as more bullets rain down. He bandages his wound, rappels to another rooftop and ambushes two shooters. He takes one down, disarms the other and fights him hand to hand. The attacker grabs a steel bar and tries to stab Steve, but Steve blocks him and throws him aside. He then beats the man, strangles him with a tape measure, and escapes just before an elevator plummets to the ground. After surviving the attack, Steve agrees to take the mission. He and Kate meet to board their flight. Steve warns her not to get in his way. While she tries to talk through the mission, Steve just puts on headphones and goes to sleep. Later that evening, Kate studies the plan and comes across brutal photos of Radek's pregnant wife and daughter, who had been murdered. When they land in Greece they head to a CIA black site to collect a car. There, Steve reconnects with an old friend named Patricio who used to work with him. Kate is annoyed that the plan has changed without her knowledge, but Steve brushes it off. Patricio outfits them with weapons and new identities. Kate is to pose as Steve's wife. They head into Greece the next day and check into a luxury hotel. Steve tells Kate to take a shower, but when she comes out, he's gone. Steve slips away to a church, lights candles and plants a listening device. Then he sneaks into an upscale party and runs into Ty, an old CIA colleague. She quickly realizes Tim sent him and warns him that the agency is still looking for him. Steve asks about their old friend Radek and learns he's supposedly dead, though Steve is convinced otherwise. Following a lead, he goes to a nightclub run by Steph. Steve immediately demands to know where Radek is. Steph insists Radek is dead and says he won't be intimidated anymore. He shows Steve his men standing by, but Steve smashes a glass into one guard and takes on the others. He fights his way through, then starts shooting to cause chaos. As gunfire erupts, Kate suddenly appears and saves him. Afterward, Steve admits he found Kate's tracking bug. During the chaos, he managed to plant it on Steph to trace Radek. Kate refuses to go further unless Steve finally tells her the truth. Steve confesses that during Radek's last mission, his family was killed, and Steve blamed the CIA. He was ordered to kill Radek but couldn't bring himself to do it. Right then, the CIA receives a video threat from a radio station. Pay $100 million or classified secrets will be exposed. Steve and Kate track Steph to his home. After he leaves, they break in to search for clues. Kate examines files and notebooks, while Steve notices sloppy brickwork on a column. Using his tools, he uncovers a hidden compartment containing Greta's cell phone and evidence of Radek's next target. Suddenly they hear the door open and hide. A guard enters, hears Kate sneeze and pulls out his gun. Steve ambushes him, but the man fights back ferociously. He pulls a knife and forces Steve into another brutal brawl. Overpowered, Steve is nearly choked with a belt until he manages to stab the man in the neck, killing him. After patching up their wounds, Kate reflects on how she froze and didn't act when she had the chance. Steve coldly tells her to savor these moments, because soon she won't feel anything. He then receives a text from Patricio with the next target's location. They head to a small town and stake out a cafe where the target is having coffee. Patricio is also nearby. Steve wants to use the man as bait, but Kate insists they should warn him. Just then Roddick calls Steve. It's revealed that Steve never killed him. He let him go with a promise never to return. Roddick claims the CIA leaked his identity to the Russians, which led to his family's death. He blames the agency. Steve spots a well-dressed man in the crowd and follows him, trying to reason with Roddick. But Roddick warns him to back off. Moments later, Roddick appears and guns down the reporter before escaping on a motorcycle. Steve shoots out his tires, causing a crash, but Roddick still gets away. From Roddick's bike they recover a tablet and a photograph of Cuban Minister Luis Delgado, suggesting Roddick's next target. Kate wants to alert the CIA but Steve stops her. He believes Tim is only sending the two of them to cover his own tracks and warns that no one at the agency can be trusted. Steve even suspects Tim might be working for Roddick. As Tim calls, Kate refuses to believe her CIA colleagues could be corrupt. Despite her doubts, Steve goes to meet Ty again, and it's clear there's deep tension between them because of their shared past. Ty tells Steve that Costas has shut down all CIA operations in Greece and plans to hold a press conference about his findings. Steve tells her that he saw Roddick and believes the CIA used him as a pawn. Ty explains that Roddick was the one who broke their deal, making the agency look bad. Steve remembers a time years earlier when he waited for Ty to leave with him, but she chose her work instead. She regrets it, apologizes, and they share a quiet moment together. Steve recalls when Roddick refused to carry out a CIA-ordered hit on a politician. Even though Steve warned him not to break the rules, he promised to help protect Roddick and his family. Later, Steve wakes up on Ty's couch, where she tells him they've traced the video's IP address. She can't send in a team, but Steve already has plans to stop his old friend from destroying himself. Back at the hotel, Kate has been wrestling with doubts. When Steve returns, she confronts him, saying she knows he's been in contact with Roddick. Out of nowhere, she points a gun at him, accusing him of working for Roddick. Steve quickly disarms her, then gives the gun back with a smirk. He admits he talks to Roddick but not in the way she thinks. They track the signal to an abandoned building, where Steve is horrified to find Patricio hanging from the ceiling, beaten to death. Furious, he barely has time to react before a squad of armed men storms in. Steve kills the first one, sparking a fierce gunfight. Kate grabs a bag of explosives and hides under the floor to escape. At the same time, Steve sets off an explosion that wipes out several attackers before gunning down the rest. As he fights his way through, laser sights light up his chest. Steph steps forward, holding Kate hostage, and orders him to surrender. Kate begs Steve to stay back, but he refuses, admitting that he loves her. Just when it seems he's about to give up, Steve hurls the bomb bag at Steph, setting off a massive blast that kills the gang. Kate, watching from her car, breaks down in tears as Steve walks out of the fire alive. Grief-stricken over Patricio's death at Roddick's hands, Steve vows to kill Roddick once and for all. Soon after, Kate learns the CIA plans to pay the $100 million ransom. Steve sees this as their chance to make a move. When Tim arrives in Greece, he, Ty, Steve, and Kate all gather in the same room. Tim explains that Roddick instructed Kate to deliver the money, and he wants Steve off the case. They prep Kate with a flash drive holding $100 million in Bitcoin. Steve steps back but not for long. Kate follows the drop instructions, which lead her to a phone hidden under a phone box and then to a bar. In the back room she's grabbed, only to realize Steve has been shadowing her. He takes the drive, sends her away, and goes deeper into the building. In the basement, Steve finds a laptop on an otherwise empty desk. Roddick appears on a video call as he plugs in the drive. Roddick doesn't trust the CIA. Steve accuses him of murdering Patricio and swears he'll find him. Roddick reveals that he already assassinated Costas and warns that the hit could ignite a war. Unlike Steve, he welcomes it. Suddenly, the basement door locks. Steve realizes he's sitting on a bomb. He pushes the desk against the wall, hides, and braces himself as the blast rips through. Miraculously, he survives, blown out into the trash outside. Just as Roddick tries to run him down with a car, Kate arrives in an AMG and pulls him in. Steve takes the wheel and they chase Roddick through the streets. Kate tries to shoot out Roddick's tires but misses. Steve rams him off-road, crashing him into a wall and flipping his van, but Roddick escapes again. Steve chases on foot, screaming his name. Meanwhile in town, Costas is giving his speech. Steve scours the area until he spots Roddick setting up a sniper shot from a tower. Grabbing a cameraman's hatchet, Steve charges. He topples the tower, making Roddick miss his shot and fall. Steve smashes Roddick's hand before he can reach his gun. Pointing his own weapon at him, Steve apologizes for failing to protect Roddick's family. When Roddick goes for his jacket, Steve shoots him. But Roddick wasn't reaching for a weapon, just a photo of Steve and his family. Suddenly, police gunfire drops Steve. He wakes up in a hospital with Kate at his side. She tells him they found Roddick's laptop, but the money was gone. It doesn't matter, the secrets remain safe, Costas survived and the CIA is taking credit. Tim smugly declares that they're even now, which makes Kate suspect he pocketed the money himself. Later, Ty prepares to leave town when Steve surprises her at her apartment. Nervously, she offers him a drink, but he senses something's off. Outside, vans pull up and Ty turns a gun on him. She admits Roddick recruited her as his spy and she had no choice but to work with him. Grabbing her bag, she heads out, passing the hitmen who are coming for Steve. Inside, Steve hides a white package in the oven and sneaks out the window. When the men enter, one of them opens the oven, triggering a massive explosion. The blast throws Steve into the street right in front of Ty's car. She floors it toward him, but Kate arrives and shoots her, killing Ty instantly. Steve stares at her lifeless body before Kate helps him up, and the two head back to CIA offices. There, Kate accuses Tim of being dirty. He feigns shock, then coldly tells her to pack her things. She assumes she's being fired, but instead he gives her more work, telling her to handle cases on her own. Kate refuses, packs up for real and walks out. In the final scene, Steve is back at his construction job, peacefully laying bricks, finding solace in the simple work that was once his cover. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of the exciting content coming your way. Every new video is made with you in mind, and I'd love to have you here for the journey. See you in the next one.